feel like it's that long, and to get 3 number 1 spots is like people wish they could be in your shoes right now.
Well, it takes a lot, it takes a lot of work. It doesn't happen, overnight. It takes many years. It takes a lot of work. It takes I'm constantly a student, I guess you could say, of tobacco, of making cigars. This is not something that I do, you know, an hour a day. This is something that I'm thinking about 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. And I think that's the only way that you can really start to, learn and appreciate about, cigars and tobaccos. Because at the end of the day, it's, having the ingredients like a fine chef. You have certain ingredients that you work with that you find there's whether it be seasoning or more salt, whatever. And this is like tobacco. At one time I thought making cigars was a lot like wine and that type of stuff. But the more I look at it, and the more I get into it, the how do you say the chefs of the world, the restaurants, and you see those guys and you say, this is what cigars should be, because it's basically, you got to have the right ingredients. You got to have, those blends that people want to smoke, and they're going to come back and smoke them, and you're going to get the ratings and that type of stuff. Because that's definitely the beauty of this industry. There's a lot of right now. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of good cigars out there. There's a lot of good cigar makers out there. So I'm constantly being challenged and challenging myself. How I can do something that's different than what's being done out there. And that's kind of our niche as a company. Be be that company that brings those different smokes to our customers. And needless to say, in 10 years, I think we've achieved a lot, but we still have a lot more to achieve. So
Man, if this is only the beginning, I can't even imagine what's next. I cannot.
well, believe me, that's my goal. Always try to always try to do what we've done already, and
and those are
that's
big
the
shoes
goal.
to fill.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
But it's good that you, like you said, you have to be like fully consumed in it. It's not only your job, it's not only your factory, it's like your family lineage, your tradition.
right.
So much more that goes into it than just being like a cigar maker just to make money or just for
Exactly.
fun.
Exactly.
It's your
No, it
life.
it takes a lot of hard work, and I think when I was younger, I was a musician. I used to play the drums, and I remember I used to come home from school, and I used to practice 4, 5, 6 hours a day, you know, and this was a kind of discipline that I've kind of have now with tobaccos and making blends. It's a constant thing. It's not something that it's not an afterthought, because if you want to be, uh, good at what you do, it's, you may have the talent, you may be a natural, whatever, but you still have to work at it a lot. And this is what my in the 10 years that, we've had our company, this has been the goal, just, go out there and see what's out there, get the best tobaccos that are out there, and try to make the best cigar that's out there. And I mean, it's great. People ask me, why did you get back into this business? And in reality, when I got back into the business, um, my kids had a lot to do with it, but I saw an opportunity because when I was, you know before, when we were on our own, there was a lot of tobacco, but to a certain degree there was some limitations, because I was working with a big company. We had been very successful when we were on our own. And then when I started working with a big company, needless to say that those cigars that we were making, La Gloria, the CVR, the Ricobano, they took those brands to the next level. And I really didn't have that much time to experiment and work with tobacco. So we finally decided to do this, that was one of the goals. Let's see what's out there. And it's funny because it's when you look for things, you find them. And this is what I do every time I go and visit, Nicaragua or in Dominican or Ecuador or wherever I go. What's out there that's different that I can work with that will make a difference in the, in the industry to a certain degree. So.
That's interesting. I know that I was just talking to CAO's Ricky Rodriguez today, and he said it's crazy because we all have the same access to like the same tobacco. It could be like the best of the best, but the way that it's blended and what you guys do with each tobacco that you use is completely different.
Well, true. It's not only, I mean, I think, in our case, I have we process a lot of our own tobacco. And, we experiment with, it's not only, fermenting tobacco, it's experimenting, different ways of how we can improve that fermentation. I'm dying to go back to DR. I haven't been back in 9 months because already, we're thinking about, how can we make things different as far as, curing tobacco, fermenting tobacco, that maybe, will improve even more what's already, something that is good. So it's like I say, I've been here 9 months. I have to say my team down there has done a tremendous job. As a matter of fact, I was talking to them today, and I say, I don't think I'm going to go back because you guys are doing a better job than I do when I'm down there. And it's funny because, well, if you want to stay, fine, but I think you should come. I think you should come and at least visit us once in a while. So I mean, it's so now I feel I have I have more time to really start thinking outside the box of what's the next thing that I want to do as far as with tobaccos and with cigars.
What have you been doing with yourself in 9 months?
That's a good question because they have gone by very fast. Okay, the thing is, you always, I know it's when we closed in March 19th, and we reopened in May. And I always thought this thing would be like 2 months thing where it would go away or whatever. And you keep waiting for the thing to happen. And I thought a lot of times to really sit back and think and see that the people that I have, like I said before, the people that I have down there in Dominican, how they stepped up and did what they have to do to make keep the company going and keep everything running the way that that basically, I don't want to say that I've taught them because everybody, I don't like to teach people. I like to I like to give them my ideas, my how do you say, my vision, and let them to a certain degree interpret it. And they stepped up to the ball, and they stepped up to the plate. It's been incredible what they've been able to do. And the same here, the same here with the group down here. I think right now we have probably one of the best in the 10 years that we've been in business. We have probably one of the best sales force, I guess you could say, that we've ever had. And I can attest to that because we're seeing the way the whole thing is moving. It's incredible. It's just an incredible time for EP Carrillo now. And we have our friend here, David, who's I call him my second palate. He's become very he's become very important for us. My daughter, my son, the guys that we have working out in the pavement. We have to keep them because we want to keep going out all the time, and we have to keep them kind of on a short leash because they want to go out there and sell, man. And it's a wonderful feeling. It's a wonderful for EP Carrillo. It's the best of the times now. So
congratulations on that, Ernesto. You certainly deserve it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Definitely congratulations. I mean, to have 3 number ones is amazing. And I've actually smoked all 3 and they're freaking fantastic. Like when I tried that pledge last year during the live with Lissette, I was mind blown. I think Luz and I were both smoking at it and she wasn't on the camera, but I would sneak glances like, this is good. And I wanted to ask you, how did you come up with that blend? What inspired it?
Okay, that blend, like I said, I mentioned before that these things, because of the family history, the amount of years we've been in it, it's just something that happens. With this particular blend, I think what makes this tobacco, this particular cigar very different is the wrapper that we're using, which is a Havana, Connecticut wrapper, and it's grown in Connecticut and Massachusetts. Now, the first time I became, became aware of this particular wrapper was back in the 80s. At that time, everybody used to make the fumas and the cazadores, which you see in the the coffee shops, the little coffee stands. And there was one particular brand that I see that, every time I go to we had a little coffee shop in the corner of the factory. And every time that I go there, I see that, their bundles were empty. And this particular tobacco was this wrapper. Okay. Now, at that time, nobody really knew of that wrapper. There was only this person using it. Everybody at that time was using basically broadleaf. And this particular gentleman, Turiano was his name. He was the only one that had this tobacco. So I kind of had to do some, how you say, industrial espionage. Because this guy wouldn't, he wouldn't tell anybody where he got this tobacco. I mean, this was his secret, and he wasn't going to tell anybody. He wasn't going to share with anybody, which was something, because everybody at that time, we would share. We got, I mean, there wasn't that much tobacco to go around, but we always kind of shared. This guy was always, by his own. So I remember one day I went to visit him, and I asked him, and he said, "Well, I love to help you, but this is, something that's very limited. And, I'm the only person that can get it here outside outside wherever they grow it. I think it was in Massachusetts at that time. And I'm sorry, I can't help you." And I remember one day I was going by his place. He was on 27th and First, and was it Northwest First Street, I think it was. And I see there's a truck, and they're unloading about three or four boxes. And so I said to myself, let me see what's happening there. And I parked the car, I got off, and he was on, they were on the sidewalk. So I see the name of the guy that was selling him the tobacco. Now it just happens that he walks out and he sees me. And at that point, I mean, I already had the guy's name, his phone number, everything was memorized. And he looked at me and he said, I guess he was embarrassed. He said, I'm sorry, man. If you need any of this tobacco, let me know. I'll buy some and I'll share it with you, whatever. And so basically that's, that's how I became familiar with this tobacco. Needless to say, I called the guy right away, and I made my own connection just to be sure that this guy wasn't, pulling my leg. So that's how I started using that wrapper, and I used it, like I said.
Yeah, in a few minutes.
Yeah, mostly on the cigars we were making in Miami, the short filler cigars that we sell in the cafeteria, and it was it was a huge success. And so when this particular tobacco came available again, I think it was in Dominican. I think it was like 2000, maybe 17, something like that. Yeah, I started doing some. I think the first cigar that we made was the TAA exclusive, right? That was for 2018, David.
Yep.
Was that it? Yeah.
Yep.
And everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. Everybody loved it. And as a matter of fact, David would keep telling me, we got to do something with this wrapper because this is amazing. And so the opportunity came where I could, load up on a lot of this wrapper. And that's when we decided to come up, with this cigar. Now, getting to the cigar was something also kind of by accident to a certain degree, because, I think it was 2000, about a year or 2 years ago, we wanted to come out with an extension to the Perez-Carrillo, La Historia, the Encore, come out with something new. And so I remember I brought about 5 or 6 blends of different blends that I had made. And, people were looking at me like, my son was there, David, Michael, Salim. And they were looking at me and saying, "Come on, man, is this for real? Are you, kidding with us or what?" And it's funny because about 5 or 6 months before that, okay, we had made some samples with this wrapper. And again, the way that came around, I have to say, the way that came about, remember we were, planning these blends that we were going to make for the extension. And a guy used to work with me, Junior, he rolled one of the cigars with that wrapper. And then, after I tried, I said, why don't we, roll 3 or 4 or 5, whatever. And I remember I gave Dave one. And, during that meeting, I said, Dave, do you still have that cigar? And he said, which cigar? Because I gave him so many cigars, After a while, he doesn't know, For one thing, he said, yeah, I have the cigar. So he brought the cigar. There was one cigar. And I remember I cut it. I said, Ernie, why don't you try it first? And as soon as Ernie smoked it, his eyes started to water. And he said, this is a cigar that we need. This is the one that we need to come out with. And then, we started passing it around, and everybody just fell in love with the cigar. And I remember also because, when we started to work on the packaging, Lissette, she was working with Dennis, who does a lot of the work with us. And the packaging also just came out, that blue with the contrast on the sides of the bands and the labels. So I mean, it was a beautiful packaging. And we came out with a cigar, and basically this is, again, this was something that just happened without planning. So, and that's how things, I guess that's how things happen. You never expect this. You always think you have to plan this thing, and it just happens. So
people want to know. People want to know, Ernesto, now that the cigar is in such high demand, what the availability is going to be. I know that it was already something that was very exclusive. For some reason that I didn't quite catch. If you can tell us about that, what is the difficulty you have in making the cigar?
Well, there's a couple of things. First of all, needless to say, the wrapper. This is a wrapper when when we work with wrappers, like you work at like a Habano, a Sumatra. Usually the fermentation times is anywhere from, I would say, probably 2 to 3 months. With a wrapper like this, it's more like 8 months. So needless to say, we started, we bought a lot of this inventory, and we started making some as the wrapper became available. So that's one of the things why we've been back ordered as much as we have. Another thing that didn't help was the fact that in when we came back to work in May, because of the pandemic, you could only work with like 60% of the people that you had before. So I mean, unfortunately, we had to let go of a lot of about 30% of our workforce, because of the simple reason that we want to keep the social distancing and the mask and everything else that needs to be done to keep people safe. And that's something really that hurt us. Now, saying that, there was also a curfew. For instance, we have a curfew now where at 5 o'clock in Dominican, everything closes. And there's no stores, I mean, no supermarkets, none of that. So basically we have to work like, short days so that people can get home and, buy food or whatever they want to, whatever they need. Saying that, I think Tuesday, they're going to lift that, and we're going to be able to go back and start working normally, start working Saturdays and possibly Sundays too, to try to meet demand.
Awesome. That's good news.
Yeah, it is. It is, because, it's really been tough. It's been tough for, for them also, because of the fact that, people want to work. They want to, they want to be able to, make a little bit more money. Let's put it that way. And the thing is that, they're so proud of this price that we got, that they're anxious. They're anxious, and they call me. When are we going to start working Saturdays? I mean, such and such is is doing it. And this guy said, don't worry, we're going to get there. And now next week, we're going to start, full production, and also the, working Saturdays, and trying to get more cigar makers. Because, the thing is not only with Pledge, I mean, we have the La Historia, which is also huge. We have the Inch, we have the Encore, we have international sales. There's a lot. We have, partners that we work with, like the Crown Heads, Alec Bradley, which also got, very nice ratings. And needless to say, their cigars are also starting to, be in demand, in big demand.
Yes.
So, it's a lot of pressure, and, hopefully by this coming week, we'll have it, figure out, so that everybody can get as much of our cigars as possible, and their cigars also.
Because your factory also makes the Alec Bradley Gatekeeper,
right?
Is on the top 10 cigars of the year. So
right,
that's another beautiful accomplishment there. And there is a question from somebody in the chat that says, how does your personal taste affect the blends that you make for everybody else, for the mass market?
Well, when I'm making a cigar, whether it's, for ourselves or for anybody, I have to really enjoy the cigar. In other words, I cannot make a cigar just for the sake of making a cigar. And, I have to enjoy it. I have to have the confidence that that what I'm putting out there is the best that I can. Needless to say, I want, our customers also to enjoy it. But, one thing I've learned is, you can't be everything to everybody. And if you try to please everybody with their different, taste profiles or whatever, it gets, difficult to establish an identity. And though we have mild cigars, we have medium, we have full cigars, there's always, that connection that goes back to Carrillo, to the way that that we blend. And for me, the cigar, it's very important. For me, the cigar has to, in the old days when I started, I remember people used to smoke and they used to weigh an inch and a half before, they say, man, this cigar is good. Nowadays, from the moment you light it, that thing has to really rock, because people don't, they don't want to wait. They want instant gratification.
Instant gratification times.
Yeah. And that's what I try to do. And it's funny because, I used to, when I worked with General, David Danziger, we used to come and we used to do different blends and stuff. And the guy would smoke a cigar, 1 inch, not even an inch, and he'd throw it away. And, people used to get upset. They say, and, you just have to understand that's life now. Everybody wants instant gratification. They don't want to wait. And so that when we make cigars, we try to put some of that in there. We want people to really be, captivated from the first, light, the first puff.
Yeah, you got
That's amazing.
Secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
you really do need to tell us that secret.
Listen, that's not easy to achieve, but over the years, we've learned to, what tobaccos kind of have that how do you say, that quality, or that character where, from the moment you light it, it says something. And, one thing that I love to do is, before I smoke cigars, just light it and, smell the aroma. That to me is like, it's like, I don't know, I guess you could say like taking a nerve pill where you just feel like, relax and, man, this is the world. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of experience I want people to have with our cigars.
I'm sure people are having those kinds of experiences, seeing how well you guys are doing with the short amount of time that like La Alianza has been around. So, it's truly amazing. And I know that when I had talked to Lissette last year, she talked about production even before you guys knew that you guys were going to get the #1, because I saw that live too, when Lissette called you and you guys were both like, we did it.
Yeah.
I was watching that with the biggest smile along with you guys, like, yes, wow.
Yeah.
And I know she talked about, like wanting it to be regular production. because at the moment, I think in October when it had just come out, it was still very, very limited. Like we sold out immediately. And even now, even when I'm helping with customer service, all the calls are just like, pledge, 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 pledge. And we're like, hopefully it comes in. But luckily at Neptune, we do have some pledges. And we have this cool little sampler with 2 of each of the winning cigars that you guys have.
Wow.
So we have the La Historia, the Encore, and the Pledge. And these cigars are incredibly difficult to find, but right now we have this sampler up on the website. So whoever wants to get a Pledge along with the other winners, definitely you can go get that at the Neptune website. And a little sneak peek too, the first 70 people that buy also get the Perfect Cutter.
Wow, that's beautiful, huh? That's genius.
Yeah, so I mean, smoke like a winner. You just have to search up Pledge, and then you'll see all of the different number ones on there.
You see, Dave, we should have thought of that. You know?
Right, we're so smart here. We're like immediately.
Well,
That's
you see, Ernesto, the difference is that they're in a Ziploc bag. We got to make ours look more Carrillo-like.
Listen, let's steal the idea. You know, however we put it is put it, but let's steal the idea because that's genius, man.
It is.
Hey, I think you guys had one that was similar when you guys had the Pledge box that came with like Historia too, right? With the 2 of them.
Yeah.
Similar idea.
Yeah,
You know,
but this is
way more expensive to produce.
I think it's a great opportunity for people that are getting the sampler to compare the blends, and because when a company gets a number 1, there's a lot of pressure to smoke that number 1, and then people forget that you make so many wonderful cigars, not just those that are in the sampler, but you know, the core line, the inch. I mean, we do well with all of your lines, actually. They're all wonderful. They all have their market. And I really encourage people to go on our website. You can search by manufacturer and you search EPC and really make your own sampler. Try different things. This company has been making, I mean, Ernesto, you are one of the great ones in the industry. If you allow me to say that, I know you are very humble, but one of the great minds of the industry. And I really encourage everybody to try all of your lines.
Thank you very much. And you know, needless to say, what you're saying is true. You know, there's a lot of great cigars. You know, even myself. You know, I always try to, you know, try different cigars that are out there. Because you know, there's so many interesting things happening in this industry now, and you see this year, Luz. You know, I mean, it was something that it's unfortunate what's happening. You know, the kind of year we have. You know, kind of things that are happening, but you know, the cigar industry seems to, you know, have held their own. Our customers have, you know, keep supporting us, and you know, in spite of all the how do you say, the things that, you know, you can't go into a store maybe like you used to, you know, you can't smoke maybe like you used to, you know, they're still finding a way to smoke and support us as an industry. And you know, we have to be very, very grateful because it you know, I think we're one of the few industry that, you know, really hasn't been that badly affected by the pandemic.
That's
And
because we have the best customers. You know, people who want to enjoy a good time, that want to relax, you know, and that know how to, I think, in this industry. There is a comment by Norwood D on the chat here that says, thanks, Ernesto, really enjoying your cigars. Thanks for making great lower cost sticks too. Don't know how they stay under the radar, the new wave, the dusk, great.
Oh. Well, like I say, you know, we try to have, you know, we try to have something for everybody. And I think, you know, we've always, you know, you know, when we were with La Gloria, when I had La Gloria, we always try to keep a price that, you know, I thought would be, you know, fair, where everybody could smoke the cigar, you know. And I think that's one of the reasons that, you know, we had such success with La Gloria, with the CVR at that time. And with our cigars, you know, we want to basically, you know, keep that model to a certain degree. But I think now, after as many years as we've been in business, we want to do something different. We want to do something different. One of my goals is after this, what is the next thing that we're going to do that's going to be maybe a game changer, because that's the way that we think as a company. What is the next thing out there, and what the cost will be. We don't look at that. It could be a I don't know, lower price cigar. It could be something that's even higher. We don't know yet, but that's always and the thing, and we always keep our customers in mind. Because when you sell a cigar, there's got to be a reason. And if you're going to charge whatever you're going to charge, you want the customer to understand it and feel that, whatever he's paying for the cigar, he's getting a great value. Because at the end of the day, that's what, all of us want. We want to pay for something, but we want to have a great value. And, that goes from, food, clothes, anything you do. We all want something that's, it's worth what we pay for. So
right.
that's how, we want to operate as a company.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Another person is asking Ernesto if you could talk a little bit about La Historia. I guess it's what they're smoking right now. They want to know how the blend came to be, or whatever you want us to know about it.
Okay. Well, La Historia, again, and I hate to say this, but all these ideas, I should say I hate to do this, but all these ideas are my kids' ideas. I wish I could say, yeah, I came out with La Historia, I came out with this, I came out with the other. No, doesn't happen. I make the blends, but the idea, the concept is theirs. And La Historia, this came about 2012. We had just started a company in 2009. And in 2012, Ernie came to me. He said, I'd like to see if we can make something that's a little bit more traditional. The look has to be a bit more traditional. And I remember we had some all-time bands and labels from one of our printing suppliers. And that was kind of the concept of what the look was going to be. So I started working on the blend, and since it was going to be something outside of what we were making at that time, I decided to use a Mexican wrapper, and that was basically probably the first time that I was using that wrapper on a full-scale production. And so I started making the blends. I think it was like right after that, maybe I started getting some of the Mexican tobacco, and started blending, using different types of tobaccos that we had there, Nicaraguan, Dominican, Ecuadorian tobaccos. And then came the part of the design where Lissette got involved in that. And I remember she had a friend. She had a friend that was a painter, and this guy had never worked in the industry. And she started kind of giving the concept of the family, the woman in the family, the history. If you see the bands on the left, that's my mother when she was young. My mother, when she was young, they had a little farm. There were 12 brothers, and the 12 brothers and sisters, they worked that farm in Montezuelo, in Cuba, Montezuelo. And then on the right, you see Lissette with the Freedom Tower. Because when we came down in '59, that's where all the Cuban immigrants used to go, for medical assistance. I love peanut butter, and one of the reasons is because that's what they would give us: peanut butter and powdered milk. So I mean, peanut butter is like my all-time favorite food. And so we so they started on the whole concept of the design and everything. Now one thing about it, I didn't see any of this till it was basically done. They were hiding this for me. And the blend just, it just, like I said, it was just something that, when I saw the design, I went back and I said, I can't miss on this one. This has got to be like completely different than anything we've done. And we started again, experimenting, with the same wrapper, but different blends, different percentage of tobaccos and that type of thing to get the blend that that would do justice to, their idea, to our family, to our history, to the woman in our business. And then when we came out with it, with the packaging came out, I think at that time we introduced it at the IPCPR. From that moment, it became like an extra, a success. And then that year, 2014, we got the #2 cigar of the year. So again, that was something. And then like the Encore was the same thing. A year later, Lissette came to me and she says, what can we do now, to kind of, give La Historia a sister or brother or something. And again, the Encore came about because I was in Honduras. I was buying tobacco from Nestor Plasencia, which we did, we do a lot of business with him. And he was growing this wrapper, Habano wrapper, that is it's a hybrid of different seeds. And when I saw that tobacco, the oils, the colors, the way it smoked, I said to myself, this is what we need for this particular cigar, the Encore. And again, this was, I think this was, I don't know, 2000, maybe 16, something like that. And it took us a while, to come up with the blend, because this was a tobacco. This particular wrapper was a tobacco that I really never worked with. So it was kind of hard for me to understand, how to ferment it, how much time to give it. And basically it took about a year almost before we were ready to come out with it. And, 2018 became the #1 cigar of the year.
Wow.
So again, this all has to do with certain tobaccos that to a certain degree I never worked with or aren't as popular as, let's say, Habano from Ecuador or Sumatra or Connecticut or a broadleaf. At that time, these tobaccos were really, unique in their own ways.
It seems that you're always thinking outside the box, Ernesto, because, I remember when you came out with Cigar,
Mm-hmm.
and with the
ink.
big green gauge.
Right.
It was the biggest that we had seen at the time. And we thought, who's gonna smoke this? And now it's one of the most sought after sizes in the industry.
Incredible. And it's funny, Luz, that you say that, because the 7x70, it's become like one of our biggest selling lines in the inch. And not only in the States but also in Europe. I mean, you see a market like that is basically a Cuban market, I guess you could say, and people are loving this big green gauge cigars. So, and the good thing about all these things is that when you're the first one and anything you do, it's unless you fall off the horse, it's hard to knock you off that horse.
Correct.
And the inch has been something that's been really incredible. There's a lot of big green gauge cigars out there, and my respect for them and all that, but the inch always seems to be out there. The Cigar, that's probably the biggest ring gauge selling cigar that there is nowadays. But I think Inch is doing a really great job at.
It is amazing. It is
Yes.
amazing. People seek it out in, those that are out there for that ring gauge. And it's funny, somebody on the chat, Austin, is asking, do you think 56 to 60 ring gauge cigars will continue to dominate the market?
It's what I've noticed about this market, what I've noticed about in general, and I've been doing this now for 50 years. And I remember when I first started going to the IPCPR, the RTDA at that time, the people at that time, I got to get very close to Carlos Fuentes, the guys from Villason, Danny Blumenthal, what's this other guy's name? Sherwin Seltzer, remember Sherwin?
Yes.
Frank. I'm trying to think of the guy from Villason. the Olivas. And they had a theory which said that this business every 7 years goes through a cycle. And, it's just something that I think it happens, you go through a cycle where, at one point people will want, like big green gauge cigars. And it's taken a while for the big green gauge cigars to really get that notoriety. But I think, 56 to 60s, I think they will be around as a, steady for many years to come. And I think, eventually some people, will experiment and go into those 64s, those 70s. We all know about Asylum, which has an 80, right?
Yeah.
And I understand that's like a monster as far as sales is, so.
You got to have the mouth to smoke that one.
I guess.
You're thinking of Frank Llaneza, Villason, right?
Frank Llaneza, yes. Frank Llaneza. Yes. I got, I got to, I was, Padron, Orlando Padron, we used to, Orlando and I used to talk a lot. Fuentes and I used to talk a lot also. And those guys were, what can I say? Those guys were like the ones that really made it all possible for us to, I guess, to be doing this today, because they open a whole new, how do you say? They open a whole new world for cigar smokers. Llaneza. Those were people, even guys that we had here in Miami. If I go back and think about, all these people that we had here in Miami, which if you ask me their names, I couldn't name one. I just know them by their factory names. You have Canelo, you have Chavelo, you have Don Goyo, you have Benito, and those guys, because they were, because they came from Cuba, they had a whole different way of doing things that really, opened the doors for a lot of us to move forward, with their ideas and their methods and their techniques, or whatever you want to call them. So those guys were really they were key. Nowadays you have a lot of young people that are coming up, young and coming up, which I think there's a great future for this industry. So.
Oh, Roxana is trying to talk, but she's muted again. Hold on.
Man, it sucks because I feel like I'm the youngest person here and I do not know how to use technology, so I apologize. But I did want to ask something, especially because you talked about like the Fuentes and Olivas and all these people that kind of paved the way and had to have kind of like shared information or mentored you in some kind of way, even if just through like info sharing. You had said that the Pledge, the rapper, originally you had to do some industry espionage to get to that.
Right.
And right. I love that. I think that's hilarious. And it reminds me of something I wanted to ask you in particular.
Yeah.
So Cigar Aficionado quoted you saying, "My methods of blending and the way I use tobaccos shouldn't be kept a secret. In the long term, all of us have to share as much as we can of what we know. There isn't a university or a book. It's only learned through many years of experience." So that's a fantastic quote. And it's also something that made me remember this person not wanting to share with you. And you're like, why? We all share this information. So if it's not a secret, the tobacco that you use and the blending practices, what do you think your success is attributed to?
Well, I think my success, to be quite frank, I think my success, because at the end of the day, I can source the tobacco, I can come up with the blends, I can, kind of, express in certain ways what I expect from that blend. But I think the most important elements, and every day, I tell my people this: look, customer is number one. Okay, we all want to believe that, but it's not true. I think number one is our employees. Our employees at the end of the day are the ones that are going to make that blend, are going to put together those tobaccos, are going to roll those cigars, are going to ferment those tobaccos. So they got to feel that, you know, they got to feel that, you know, they're part of this whole thing. This is not about, you know, only about Ernesto Perez-Carrillo and the family and everybody else. This is about you guys also. And to me, employees, you know, they're the key to our success. And when you have, when you have people that they feel that they're part of something, of a family, you know, of not, you know, necessarily just working to get a paycheck, but working because they love what they're doing. They love working with their people. They're respected by the supervisor. They're respected by the owner. You know, I have an open door policy when I'm in DR. You know, anybody can come in. You know, anybody can talk to me. You know, if you have an issue and we can resolve it, you know, we'll do our best to resolve it. Because at the end of the day, that's the only way that I think any company is going to be successful. You know, if your employees feel that they're part of that. So I could give you the blend. You know, I could, you know, sit you down, say, you know, try this, do it, you know, take it, do it with your factory. There's a lot of other things that go in, you know, just beside the tobacco. And again, that's the human factor, which I think is so important in any business that one has. You know, they have to feel free that if they see me walking by, they can stop me and say, look, I'm having this problem with this or that. Okay, let's see how we can resolve it. You know, there's no, you know, I'll see you later. Let's wait. And, you know, one thing that I tell my people is, you know, when somebody talks to you, you gotta take care of, you know, whatever's happening, you gotta take care of it right away. I don't want these people to feel that you're ignoring them. They have to feel that, you know, you're really interested in their whatever issues they may have, and that you want to solve them. Because otherwise, you know, this guy is gonna, you know, close, and you know, se va a encerrar, you know, and we're gonna lose him. And right now, you know, it's not a time to be losing anybody, because we need everybody that we have now, and we need them, you know, more than ever. And we want to be sure that they feel that they are, you know, loved, they're wanted, and they're respected, and that, you know, we want them to be a part of our family. So
Definitely. I feel like the quality of the work.
And, you know, and then when you look at the business aspect also, you know, when you share this thing and there's more demand for, you know, maybe the tobaccos that you're using, that means that there's more opportunity, you know, for one to always have that tobacco available. And like I tell a lot of people, you know, this industry, it's a small industry. You know, I think one of the ways that we can going to make it grow is, you know, if we share more among each other, we make things, you know, a lot better. And you know, because, you know, you try to keep secrets, and you know, after a while, you know, secrets are going to get out, and it's not worth it. You know, I mean, you gotta be everybody's got to be in this together. You know, whether it's manufacturers, retailers, you know, hosts, whatever. We all got to be in together to be sure that this business keeps growing.
All hands on deck.
Yeah.
Especially now. I wanted to tell you that the quality of the work really shows when somebody loves their job. Because
Exactly.
when people are loving their job and they go in and they don't see that as like a way to make ends meet, their cigars keep out coming great because they love what they do. They love their craft. And I saw the video that Lissette put up of the factory workers, and everyone's there clapping like, yeah, we did it. And I heard them yell like, Tabacalera la Alianza, and they cheer even harder. I was like, oh, I got chills. It's crazy seeing their achievements and how much they love their job and how they continue to make you these great, awesome cigars.
That's like I said, that's really that, you know, that's really it. You know, if they're happy, they're gonna make great cigars. You know, if they feel that they can go to work and not have to worry about, you know, how they're gonna make ends meet. You know, will they have enough milk to feed their baby or whatever? They're gonna be happy employees. You know, and believe me, we have a lot of competition now in DR. With cigar makers, because, you know, for the last year has been like a mini boom. So, and, you know, we really haven't lost, you know, maybe one or two. I mean, most of them have really stayed with us. Most of the ones that stayed from the pandemic, no, from May. And so, I mean, that's something that you know, people, once they start working with us, it's very hard for them to leave, which is great, you know, because that's what we want. And most of the people, I mean, I have two guys there that have been with me since 1996. which is a guy that's in control of all the tobacco and the quality control guy. And, most people that are with us, they're with us, some from the beginning, some, 8, 9, 10 years. And like I said, for them to leave is something has to happen that, there's very few people leave us. That's something that's something that upsets me. If somebody leaves, there's got to be an excuse that, either they got an opportunity to, travel to the United States. There's got to be something. I just can't see that, somebody would want to leave us without us knowing what the reason, for their leaving was. Because, you want to, if something happens, we did something wrong. We try to, resolve that issue. But, we don't want anybody to leave because, we didn't take care of them, or, we didn't pay attention to them, or, it was our fault. Let's put it that way.
Of course, and that human factor is so important, especially because I'm imagining like a company that has a high turnover rate, where people are just quitting, and maybe it's a big company that, where the owner is just like cracking the whip, like keep rolling, I don't care, And in a situation like that, where you can have a lot of people quitting and a huge turnover rate.
To say you're not talking about Neptune.
No, I love Neptune. When you were talking about how you treat the people at Alianza, I was like, wow, that's how I feel about us over here. No. I mean, people with like a high turnover rate, like in like manufacturers. So in those situations, those cigars, I imagine, would come out completely inconsistent, because you have all sorts of different rollers that you don't even trust. You just need people to kind of just like fit in this role. Whereas if you keep your employees happy, you have a family for years, and you can trust these people, right, and you know that they're going to continue to just make great cigars.
That's right. It takes a long time to to train a cigar maker. It takes not only a cigar maker, but the person that packs the cigars. Is so when you lose, when you have a person and he's been there after a month or two and he decides to leave, it's a problem. One of the things that we do, the way that we bunch the cigars, the ways that we roll, it takes a while for people to get accustomed to that method. And if you're going to bring in somebody and they leave 2 or 3 months, we don't want that. We want people to be there as long as possible, because like you say, it does take time for to train somebody, and when they start, needless to say, it's a lot of work to train them.
I tried to roll a cigar, Ernesto. It was not pretty.
Well, listen, let me tell you something. I've been in the industry now 50 years. I mean, I can make a cigar. I'm not going to say, but believe me, I can't, that's when you really start to appreciate what these cigar makers do, when you try to do it yourself.
Yes, pretty hard. And they were explaining it to me, like, here, it's so easy. And I'd be like, no, it's not. But they do it all day long. There's so much talent in the rolling factories.
Oh yeah,
really beautiful.
Like I said, it's something that it takes many years to really achieve. Cigar makers, usually we have people that have been with us. We have this one particular person who was, I think, our third employee, a cigar maker. And he's gone through all the different, vitolas, all the different, he's worked everything. And, he's the type of person that, he loves what he loves what he does. And, whatever cigar you make him do, whether it's a Corona, a Churchill, whatever, he'll put his full heart into making it the best possible. And that's the type of person that we want. We want that type of cigar maker that's really committed to, being the best at what he does, and, being able to do all kinds of cigars, not just one kind of cigar, but all kinds of cigars. So.
Ernesto, someone had asked in the chat that you made the pledge as a thank you to customers and retailers and everyone that helped you along the way. And they want to know if you have a cigar in mind planned for the future, especially for the new generations of the EPC rollers. and family.
A new cigar for the.
Yeah, for the, hold up, let me get back to the, I'm trying to like get back to the chat to read it word by word. Here we go. Okay, so can you still hear me?
Yes, I do. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jose says, Ernesto, I like that you named the pledge as a way to recognize your customers, retailers, and everyone who helps you along the way to making a great cigar. Will there be a line dedicated to the next generation of Perez-Carrillo cigar makers?
Cigar makers or smokers?
They said makers, but maybe smokers, or I know that Lissette told me you guys do a lot of stuff for your family as well, as far as naming the sizes and the band work.
Well, this is one thing that I'm not going to elaborate too much on because you know, as much as I love my competitors, my friends, I don't want to give out all my secrets. I'll give out some.
We can share, but not everything.
Yeah, we'll share tobaccos, but that's something else. and I have to say, for the younger generation out there, I think we, if we look at what's happening, there's a lot of things, and we all know about the boutique brands that are out there, like Skip Martin and the Crown Heads, the kids from Alec and Bradley, which are making some really nice things. But I'm not saying that's us, because at the end of the day, I'm going to be 70 years old this year. Lissette and Ernie, they're young, but I think that particular market, that particular the people that follow Skip Martin or follow John Huber or Alec and Bradley, to name a few, for us that's a completely different I think market to a certain degree. They do appreciate and enjoy great cigars, but that's not really our company's not really that. We can't play in that field with that concept and that that branding, I guess you could say. But we are thinking about what's the next what's the next generation. Now that doesn't mean that 2 or 3 years ago, 2 or 3 years from now, my grandson Frankie decides he wants to get into business, and he'll want his own cigar, and then that will be for that generation. And so we'll see what we'll see what the future is. But believe me, this is something that I've had for the past 3 or 4 years. I've been thinking about what's the next step, what's the next and to do that, we really I think probably in the next maybe year or two, I think we'll see some of that. We'll see some of those things.
We're definitely excited to see that. I mean, I can't wait, especially being like one of the younger generations that does follow all of these little boutique brands. I don't know what it is about like smaller boutique brands that gets our attention like that, but that really does. But I wanted to ask you also, we have time for 1 or 2 more questions. And one question that I saw in the chat was, did Cigar Aficionado contact you to let you know that you won #1, or did you find out at the same time as all of us?
Well, you know how I found out?
How?
I found out, I got a call from Dominican, and they say we're #1, and I, quite frankly, I don't know, like 10 minutes before, they knew, and that's basically how we find out. Because you have
that's the secret headquarters of Cigar Aficionado.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, they posted early.
Yeah.
Right?
They
It was
did post early.
David tells me every time we get #1, it's always David. Congratulations, Lissette. They're refreshing and I think David has some hack job done. He gets like refreshing like Wi-Fi type, But I'm just like, how does David always know? It's always like I'll get the text or I'll get the call. So thank you, David. Literally all the time. And the worst, I don't know if the hardest day is probably the hardest day of the countdown is 2, 3, and 4. Yeah. That's the hardest. I think like if you get 8, 9, and 10, The 8, 9, and 10, you're just like, okay, you know, you lose a little sleep. You're like, okay, we'll get 8, 9, 10. It'll be fine. Then, you know, but each day was David. We're not on the list today. We're not on the list today. This can't be real. This can't be happening, you know? And then like I said, the 2, 3, 4s, and then for whatever reason, they were coming in a little early, right, David? Like 9:57, but then the number 1 came in like 9:47, right? Or
yeah, it came in somewhere 9:40 something.
Yeah. So no.
And
that's been somebody from Cigar Aficionado who's a close friend of ours knew. He actually works there. He didn't know.
Wow.
They don't know.
He didn't know.
So
That's
so
a really-
Roxana, I'm going to tell you one thing. I know a lot of people think that, you know, we know in advance. I can assure you 100,000,000% to you, everybody on this call, every consumer, everybody listening, everybody thinking, everybody going to watch this recording later. We had no clue. I was sitting there with a mouse going click, 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 click. You know? So that's
and he
how
has
I
like
find
the
it so
fastest
fast.
internet too. He finds out first. His Wi-Fi is like
Absolutely. And then you don't believe us. You could go to that Instagram live video where I call my dad. That's the first time I spoke to him. I told my mom, tell him not to call me so we can make this real. And just look at me. I looked delusional.
I saw you were like,
I was a wreck. Okay. It's nerve-wracking. So no,
it's funny because, you know, everybody, you know, kept saying, you know, it's gotta be the number 1. And you know, I kept saying, well, you know, I mean, let's not really get our hopes. I mean, this cigar, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff out there. There's a lot of good cigars out there. You know, let's not. So when we got it, I was so happy. You know, and I'll be frank with you. I mean, for me, this is, you know, I look back and I still haven't been able to absorb this. But when I saw the joy that it brought to you know, to Lissette, to Ernie, you know, to everyone in the factory here, in Dominican and the you know, in our company here in the United States, you know, it just made me so happy for them, because like I said, you know, this is something that they've been, you know, working on, you know, thinking about, you know, and let me tell you, Mike, you know, sometimes I say to myself, you know, I got to stop thinking about this all the time. And you know, Lissette and Ernie are worse. I mean, this is like an obsession with them. And David, you know, David's gotten that habit also. Now he's starting to drive me crazy also. And you know,
is that a complaint? Because I'm kind of concerned.
Ernesto, I want to tell you, Ernesto, that I also got into that, and I was calling David like for 5 for 5 or 6 days.
Yes, she was.
David, I think you're gonna get the number 1.
Yes, well, like you were calling me between calls and texts.
Yeah, like you said, even before, you know, even before the you know, the rating, the cigar was being very successful. You know, yes. I think you know, our how would you say, our introduction before the cigar got the rating was probably, you know, something that was unique. And I have to say, you know, we had also a couple of great guys that helped us tremendously. You know, Selim and Michael. I mean, they were really very instrumental also in getting the message out with the design, you know, with Lissette. You know, me having to, it's funny because, you know, when Lissette told me the name, I told her, well, you know, Lissette, really, I really don't like that name. All right. And she says, what do you mean you don't like it? I said, no, I don't, you know. So she made up, and I'm just starting to think about it now. I was thinking about this last night. She made up this thing. She said, all right, Dad, look, if you don't like that name, why don't we do something? Why don't we have our customers, you know, decide which name you like, which name they like. So she made up the Pledge and 2 other names. And I remember we were at the Big Smoke. That was the day that the time that we're going to do the you know, the speech for the number 1 cigar 2018. And God behold, when I got back, I said, all right, which name did people like more? And she says, well, they like the Pledge. Really? All right.
Oh, but the two other names, we sat down, it was all of us, me, David, Michael, Salim, Ernie, we sat down with the other two names. And
Luz,
so it
in
wasn't
other words, this was
want to be
fixed. They wanted to
responsible for
use
the
that
other
name.
two names. I wanted to be, neutral, but I really liked Pledge. But then we're not going to say any names. Even after we won, even after the bands were printed in this lovely industry, someone wants to get in my dad's head still. I won't name any names. It's a good friend of ours. And he said,
Don't even go there.
No. I want to say, somebody told me, Lissette, and now I can't stop thinking about it, that Pledge is like the furniture cleaner. I'm like, okay, that has nothing to do with the pledge that I'm going to send you a definition of Merriam-Webster dictionary. So I sent him the definition, and I said, at the end of the day, the fans picked. It's done. So it is what it is. So he probably thought about every time he probably sees that pledge, he's probably thinking, oh my goodness, because that's how he is. He's a perfectionist. But no, the name is just, all over social media, all over. People just talk about it. Pledge. So
It's a great name.
no, it's an
I'm sorry to disagree with you, Ernesto. I like the name too.
No,
so
once she told me the story, what the story was, which is true, it's our pledge. And again, we as a family have been blessed in this industry, but it is our pledge. It's our pledge to never stop trying to bring out innovative things that people will enjoy and love, and things that we're going to be proud of as a company. Things that our partners are retailers like yourself, Luz, will say, hey, try this, because at the end of the day, you can put all the advertising, you can do all the marketing, you can do everything out there. Our biggest supporters out there are really the retailers. They're the ones that are going to get that cigar in people's, get them to try it. And so I think that this is something that we all, in one way or the other, are gonna have to help ourselves with, and so that's our pledge. We're gonna try to be we're gonna try to in every instance we're gonna try to be the best of what we do. So
well, you certainly made it easy for us to sell your cigar.
Well,
because
and I have to say this. I have to say this.
Great cigar, very delicious, beautiful presentation, something unique, and people. One of the reasons I told David, I'm like, David, I'm feeling it because my customers are going crazy over these cigars.
Wow.
They really are. Like people, we were getting hounded before it won number one.
Wow.
So I think people know what's good.
People wanted it by the box before it won number one,
Wow.
which is what shocks me. There'd be like a box of Pledge. I'm like, we don't even sell it by the box. And that's before winning number one. So imagine now.
Oh, I can imagine. And believe me, we're
Can I
working
get
hard.
2 boxes?
we're working hard to really get out. I mean, believe me, we have a plan, and we're working hard to really, be able to hopefully in the next month and a half to get as many pledges out there as we can, because we do want everybody to try it. Like I said, we're very proud of this cigar. We don't want this to be something that it's so exclusive or elusive that only a few people are going to try it. We want to try to get it out to many people as possible. And the goal is big. The goal, the plan to be able to supply these cigars, it's we're not going to let this opportunity escape us, and we want to be sure that everybody tries this cigar. So just have a little patience, but we're going to make it happen. So
yeah, and you'll have it on Neptune Cigar website. If you want to try it today, we still have some samplers.
beautiful.
Get the Pledge sampler with the La Historia and the Encore, and try the whole trilogy of the best of E.P. Carrillo.
And Luz, now that you mentioned that, I don't want, La Historia and Encore, they are, so different in this cigar, but yet they complement each other so much. I was smoking an Encore last night, and I'm thinking to myself, I said, man, things like this, as many years of experience as I have, some things like this are like are outside one's mind. This is, and I don't want to sound mystical or mystical, right, or anything like that, but this is something that is it's just not about me working with tobacco, about me blending tobacco. This is something I think and I have to say this, and if people think I'm nuts, I'm sorry, but this is something that I think came from my parents, from my father, from my grandfather, from all those great people that that made cigars before me. I just feel that I feel that way about these cigars. I mean, the Encore, the Pledge, La Historia. I mean,
it's a connection to your roots.
A connection, yes. I think so. And again, I don't want to sound mystical or anything like that, but I truly feel that. So now, will I be able to blend something like that in the future? Well, that's my next goal. So we'll see.
Well, it's been really great talking to you and Lissette and David. I'm pretty sure everybody has enjoyed it. There's a lot of comments. Your cigars are amazing. We love them in Mozambique. Wow. Okay, that's great. Jeff Groover is our Florida rep. He says he pledges allegiance to the fact that EPC has #1 cigar again. Congratulations to the whole family. Well deserved. You guys work hard. You have created an amazing company for the second time, Ernesto.
Yes. Well, it's like again, I think this time, I mean, the first time it was all about the family. My kids were younger at that time. But I think this time now, the second time around, where we all are, I guess, we know what we want out of life, and it just makes it that much more special, And hopefully this is that I can keep doing for the next, I don't know, maybe 20 years, 25 years.
There's no retirement in this industry.
No, there's not. It's going to be around for a long time.
Yes.
So.
Very good. Roxana, you want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I mean, I hope that you are with us for a long time, especially blending, because we want to keep smoking #1s. And we want to keep selling #1s too.
Thank you very much. We'll do our best to make that happen, believe me.
Thank you so much, Ernesto. You've been awesome. And thank you so much, Lissette and David, as well as Luz and everybody that joined today. You guys rock. Ernesto, I wish you the best of luck. I told you in 2018, you're like, it's a blessing and a curse. A blessing because it's fantastic. A curse because all hands on deck, nonstop. But truly an amazing blessing. And I wish you many more #1s your way.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That's that's our goal, to be around for a long time and be able to serve, all our customers, the best cigar possible. So believe me, that's what we live for now, to be in that position. So thank you.
You're at a good start.
You've really been, I have to say, is because, Luz has been such a great supporter of us from the beginning, that, really we can't, and believe me, your name comes up a lot in the office. And, your whole crew, everybody has just done, a tremendous job and supported us. And, we appreciate that tremendously. So thank you very much.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you, Roxanne.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for joining.